is not the right.
Minutes for the 14th.
Okay, we'll stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I call this meeting of the Town of Plattsburgh Town Board to order for 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Bertie Bassett.
Here.
Thomas Wood.
Here.
Martin Manick.
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes.
Meg LaFave.
Yes.
Rick Collins.
Resolution 247, approving the minutes of the previous meeting.
Resolved that the minutes of December 7th and December 14th, 2015 be approved and the reading of the minutes be dispensed
Have a
with.
motion.
So moved.
Mr. Manick, second.
Second.
Mr. Cashman, any discussion?
Yeah, the 14th, what was that one? The 14th, Rick?
That was last Monday.
Did we get minutes for that?
You gave them to Debbie.
I seem to have the 7th. And
Last time I looked,
and we didn't pass anything.
they're in the
on
back of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only 2 pages, 2-3 pages.
Oh, okay, we didn't
We
pass it.
did pass a
Only one
IT computer
resolution.
support
There was
renewal.
only one resolution.
All right. Must have lost it.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes?
Martin Manick.
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes.
Meg LaFave.
Yes.
Bertie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 248, abstract.
Resolved that the abstract of audited claim number 12B-15, 2314 to 2433 for $288,451.24. An abstract 12B-15, 461 to 484 prepays in the amount of $290,644.51 be received as reviewed by the audit committee, and the supervisors hereby authorized to pay said abstract.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Cashman, second.
Second.
Mr. Wood, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Martin Manick.
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes.
Meg LaFave.
Yes.
Bertie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 249, monthly department reports.
Resolved to receive and place on file monthly department head reports, Building and Grounds Safety Committee, Highway Superintendent, Park and Recreation, Supervisor Financial Report, Town Clerk, Codes and Zoning, Historian, and Water and Wastewater.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Wood, second.
Second.
Ms. LaFave, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood.
Yes.
Martin Manick.
Yes.
Michael Cashman.
Yes.
Meg LaFave.
Yes.
Bertie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 250, local transportation funding.
Whereas reliable transportation infrastructure is vital for the safety of New York's traveling public and its economy. And whereas 85% of New York roads and bridges are maintained by local governments. And whereas despite well-timed and targeted preventative maintenance treatments, the age and condition of many of our locally owned transportation assets means that they are beyond preservation and in need of costly and more costly rehabilitation and reconstruction. Whereas the estimates by the state controller, DOT, and independent studies show a large portion of road mileage is deteriorating and many bridges in the state are rated structurally deficient and functionally obsolete. And whereas the state controller estimates that there are 89 billion in unmet local infrastructure needs over the next 20 years. And whereas the New York State Associations of Town Superintendents of Highways commissioned its 15-year analysis and indicates the annual funding gap at $1.3 billion for the local system, excluding New York City alone. And whereas funding for local systems have been far short of what is needed, and we've fallen further and further behind in maintaining a vast aging transportation infrastructure over the long periods of severity consequently for these condition ratings. Whereas New York State Consolidated Local Street and Highway Programs, CHIPS, provides essential funding for every municipality in the state and is part of the New York State Department of Transportation Capital Program. Whereas in the early 1990s, the governor and legislature created a deficient highway and bridge trust fund to pay for the New York DOT Capital Program and dedicated mass transit fund to assist Metropolitan Transit Authority, the MTA, and other transit systems capital program. whereas when the DHVTF was created, it was agreed that DOT and MTA, the 5-year capital program, would be similar in size and would negotiate concurrently. And whereas through 2005 to 2009, both 5-year capital programs were similar in size and adapted within months of each other. And whereas in 2010, the executive and legislature wrote traditional party and enacted a 5-year capital program for the MTA, but not the DOT. Now therefore be resolved that the town of Plattsburgh calls upon the governor and state legislatures to make state funding and resources available at levels that accurately reflect the critical needs of local roads and bridges and increase CHIPS funding in the 2016-2017 state budget. It be further resolved that the town of Plattsburgh calls upon the governor and members of the state legislature to fully fund and submit a new DOT 5-year transportation capital program. And it be further resolved that the town of Plattsburgh calls upon the governor and members of the state legislature to recognize the equality of the roads, bridges, and transit by restoring funding equally between the MTA and the DOT 5-year programs, and by voting on these programs simultaneously. And it is further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to Senator Little, Assemblywoman Dupree, Town of Plattsburgh Highway Superintendent, and the town clerk for filing.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Cashman, second. Mr. Mannix, any discussion?
Can I offer, I think I'll offer a couple of amendments to the resolution. In title, it's local transportation funding, and I think it should say local transportation infrastructure funding. And then, in the text of the resolution, in the 8th whereas, it refers to the New York State Department of Transportation or something like that. It should say
That's what plants do, transpiration.
Transportation.
Give up moisture to the air, okay,
Okay.
good catch. That goes on
And
through other parts of
it
it too.
repeats it, repeats
That's
that.
interesting.
Well, that's the beauty of word processors. Why it could pick up that word and carry it forward, I don't know.
Well, this was 99.9% a draft that was given to us by the New York State Association of Highway Superintendents.
Yep.
I did a couple tweaks, I did not pick up on that, and I wonder if that's going out through the entire state. So anyway, good catch on that one. Any other suggestions or comments?
I don't know if
Mr.
anybody.
No
I don't
issue.
know.
Cashman, okay, everyone agrees then. If there are no other comments, we'll have a roll call on the resolution as amended.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Patton, Michael LaFave,
Yes.
Aaron Bass.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 251, recognition of Diane Droff for her past service as alternate Board of Appeals member.
Whereas effective December 31st, 2015, the term of office for Diane Gillette as an alternate member of the Town of Plattsburgh Zoning Board of Appeals will expire. Therefore be resolved, the supervisor on behalf of the town board and the Zoning Board of Appeals send a letter of appreciation thanking Ms. Gillette for her many years of service to the town and wishing her well with her future endeavors. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to Stephen Imhoff, Code Enforcement Zoning Department Head, and Henry Hill, Codes and Zoning Board Chairman.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Ms. LaFave, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion?
I'd just like to say that Diane spent a lot of time on, not just as an alternate, but as a regular board member, I believe it was over 16 years. And she contributed a lot towards, to our community, and of course, this is a non-paying job, so I'm real appreciative of what she's done over the years.
Thank you. Any other comments? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Patton.
Yes.
Michael LaFave,
Yes.
Aaron Bass.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 252, appointment of court clerks.
Resolved to receive and place on file a letter dated November 20th, 2015 from Town Justice Pat Note and Town Justice Joyce reappointing Pamela St. John and Pamela Esposito as full-time court clerks for the Town of Plattsburgh Town Justices for 2016. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager, one placed in each of their personnel files and one sent to the State Retirement Board. And it be further resolved that Ms. St. John and Ms. Esposito take the oath of office within 30 days of this resolution.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Wood, second.
Second.
Mr. Cashman, discussion. Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes, and I'd like to comment that I think it should be noted, you do not have to have the name of Pamela in order to be a court clerk.
yeah.
It just happens to work out that way.
And John thanks you for that.
Michael Cashman,
Yes.
Meg Lefebvre,
Yes.
Barry Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 253, zoning board of appeals, alternate member appointment, Betty Strack.
Whereas a vacancy exists in the zoning board of appeals for an alternate board member, whereas Betty Strack is willing to serve as a zoning board of appeals member, therefore be resolved, the town board, town of Plattsburgh does hereby appoint Ms. Strack, a resident of the town of Plattsburgh, to the zoning board of appeals as an alternate member for the term to expire December 31st, 2018. And it be further resolved that Ms. Strack take the oath of office within 30 days of this resolution, and the supervisor send a letter of appointment and appreciation to Mrs. Strack. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the Codes and Zoning Department head, the chairperson of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and a certified copy be sent to Mrs. Strack.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Wood, second. Mr. Cashman, any discussion?
I think it would be good if the second whereas were amended to say to serve as an alternate zoning board member, just for clarification purposes, because that is the nature of the appointment that's being made. It is clarified in the resolution, but I think it's best if it's clear all the way through the resolution.
Mr. Wood, Mr. Cashman?
No,
Concur?
It's
Any
fine.
other discussion? I agree. As amended, roll call, please.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman,
Yes.
Meg Lefebvre,
Yes.
Barry Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 254, 3% site plan return construction deposit for homesteads on Ampersand, site plan 2013.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh Planning Board has reviewed and approved all requirements of the homestead on Ampersand Site Plan 2013. Whereas the homestead on Ampersand Site Plan Amendments 2013 has on file with the town of Plattsburgh a 3% construction deposit for their project in the original amount of $52,530 plus accrued interest. Whereas the planning department has coordinated inspections of said project and reports all requirements have been met and completed. Now therefore be resolved, the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to release of said deposit in the amount of $52,530 plus accrued interest to date. And it be further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be forwarded by the planning department secretary with the return of deposit to Reagan Development Corporation.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Cashman, second.
Second.
Ms. Lefebvre, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman,
Yes.
Meg Lefebvre,
Yes.
Barry Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 255, insurance renewal.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh acts as remitting agent for its employees for the purpose of providing health benefits to said employees and their dependents. And whereas due to an anticipated increase in premiums, the town insurance agent, Clark Forrester Insurance LLC, has advised that it would be in the town's and its best employees' interest to consider an alternate health insurance plan. Whereas after careful review and consideration of the town's insurance agent has made recommendations to the town board, contract with Simply Blue Plus Platinum 2 health insurance plan that is offered by Excellus Blue Cross and Blue Shield as the best option to meet the needs of the town of Plattsburgh and its employees. Now therefore be resolved, the supervisor is hereby authorized to sign the attached premium rate schedule and contract summary to provide insurance coverage to its non-union employees. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to Clark Forrester Insurance LLC and to the finance manager.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Woods, have a second.
Second.
Mr. Cashman, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Mannix,
I recuse myself.
okay, Michael Cashman,
Yes.
Frank Lefebvre,
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 256, JCEO Services and Financial Assistance Agreement for 2015-16.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh Town Board is in receipt of 2015-2016 annual agreement between the town of Plattsburgh and the Joint Council for Economic Opportunity of Plattsburgh and Clinton County Incorporated, which states the service and financial assistance rendered to both parties for the operation of the community outreach program in the town of Plattsburgh for a period commencing December 1st, excuse me, commencing December 1st, 2015 and ending November 30th, 2016. And whereas a request for $21,567 was made, that was an increase over last year's charge of $18,920, an amount that was also paid in 2014. Whereas the town board has given consideration to the request, but the economic environment significantly increases in the previous years, as well as other in-kind services provided by the town, has dedicated to keep its contribution to the outreach program at the previous level. Excuse me. Therefore, it be resolved, the supervisor is hereby authorized to make a payment in the net amount of $18,920 to JCO. And it is further resolved that the payment be made payable from the town of Plattsburgh General Fund, and that the town board is hereby authorized the supervisor to sign any and execute all agreements upon approval by the town attorney. And it be further resolved that an executed copy of the said agreement be returned to JCO for their files, and one be given to the finance manager also.
Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Mannix, second.
Second.
Mr. Cashman, any discussion?
I went to JCEO today just to, inquire about some of the programs that they offer, and they said that 70 to 80% of their applicants come from their outreach sites.
Really?
Yes. So last time we met, we were kind of wondering about those numbers.
Mhm.
So
Was that unique to the town, or is that outreach sites in
They
all
have 11 outreach
communities?
sites, and that was the number that,
Could they isolate what that percentage is for the town of Plattsburgh?
I don't know, I didn't ask that.
Okay.
I can follow up on that.
I mean, I would expect that from Ellenberg and, you know, Alcona, the areas that are a little harder for people to get to the center. I don't know what that impact is for our community where the center's a little closer. I'd be curious. But that's still a large percentage.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Just said it was really important for these sites because the workers get to know the people and the families and their needs more so than they would if they were far further removed.
Did you speak with Bruce by any chance?
I didn't, he was in his office on the way out and I thought of stopping and saying hi, but I didn't.
'Cause I have to, which I plan to do, I wanted to get this done first, personally apologize for this being buried. It's a little after the fact, but that's okay. We'll take care of that. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Mannix,
Yes.
Michael Cashman,
Yes.
Frank Lefebvre,
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 257, request to attend training conference. That request should be changed to request to attend training conference.
Isn't that what it says?
Mine says request
Oh,
plural.
plural, all right,
Plural.
It's a singular
Right.
request.
got it.
Whereas it is in the best interest of the town officers to remain current and informed to participate in a conference. Therefore, it is resolved that Michael Cashin, supervisor-elect, be allowed to attend a training conference for newly elected town officials held from January 13th through the 15th, 2016, in Albany, New York, at the Desmond Hotel and Conference Center. And it be further resolved that $150 for conference fees and meals be charged to the supervisor's budget. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Ms. LaFave, second.
Second.
Mr. Wood, any discussion?
Not taking any car.
And he's staying with family.
I'm staying with family and I'm taking my own vehicle and I'm not looking for reimbursement, so.
We appreciate that. I think you'll also appreciate that particular conference. Unlike New York, it doesn't have some of the really broad spectrum, but unlike New York, it's much more personalized, much more focused. And that's good. I'm glad you're able to do that. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman,
Abstain.
Mike LaFave,
Yes.
Mary Bassett.
Yes, the resolution passes. Resolution 258, Town Board Meetings for 2016.
Resolved that the town board regular monthly and semi-monthly meetings be held on the first and third Mondays respectively of each month at 7 p.m. prevailing time at the Town Hall, 151 Baker Road, Plattsburgh, New York. And it be further resolved that on occasion the town board will meet 15 minutes earlier to distribute material to the councilors and prepare for the meeting. And it be further resolved that as needed, the town board informal work session meetings shall be held on the second and fourth Monday of each month at 7 p.m. prevailing time at the Town Hall, 151 Baker Road, pursuant to Section 62 of the town law. And it is further resolved that in the event there is a fifth Monday of any month, meetings will be scheduled at the discretion of the supervisor. And it be further resolved that due to the holidays observance, the town board does hereby change the dates respectively, scheduling the meetings as follows, as so noted. And it be further resolved that a copy of these date changes be posted on the town's website. A copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager.
Have a motion. Mr. Cashman, second.
Second
Mr.
for
Wood.
discussion.
Pardon?
I'll second for
Ms.
discussion.
LaFave, any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to postpone the scheduling of all the meetings, except for January. We need to have those for January, but we've already scheduled the first meeting of the year, and I think that it would be appropriate if we looked at this again middle of January as to when we want to meet.
It doesn't impact me a whole lot, but I would recommend you pass this, and if you want to amend it later, you can, but at least now you have a structure. I mean, this has worked well for decades.
And that would also be my recommendation, is I'd rather have a schedule set to move forward, and if we need to make amendments or changes, we do it in the beginning of the new year. So.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
No?
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Michael Cashman,
Yes.
Mike LaFave,
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution, and I should know, just for the record, because these were posted, there were two dates, September 6th and December 19, where 2015 was noted as the year, and accurately, obviously, those are all 16. Resolution 259, letter of resignation from Mr. Cashman, and I'd like to amend that as, before we read even, from Counselor Cashman.
Whereas Michael S. Cashman, town councilor, has submitted a letter of resignation from his position on the town of Plattsburgh Town Board effective December 31st, 2015 at 11:59 p.m. Therefore be resolved to accept and place on file Mr. Cashman's letter of resignation. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager and a copy placed in Mr. Cashman's personnel file.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Ms. LaFave, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes?
Mark Mannix,
Yes.
Michael Cashman, Mike LaFave,
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 260, disposal of surplus computers.
Whereas the Town of Plattsburgh Tech Committee has determined that various computers are surplus and no residual value, and any is necessary to take said computers out of service. Whereas the following computers have been recommended by the Tech Committee as surplus and no longer needed, as so noted. Whereas said computers will be turned over to the Superintendent of Buildings and Grounds for the removal of the hard drives and proper disposal. Therefore be resolved that the town board does hereby authorize the disposal of said computers, and it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the finance manager and to the Superintendent of Building and Grounds.
Have a motion. Mr. Cashman, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Manick,
Yes.
Joe Cashman,
Yes.
Mike LaFave,
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. Resolution 261, 2015-16 non-union employee agreement.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh and its non-union employees enter into an agreement regarding the terms and conditions of their employment for 2011-2014. Whereas said agreement expired December 31st, 2014. Excuse me, and whereas parties to said agreement are desirous to enter into a new agreement that had been agreed upon by the town of Plattsburgh and its non-union employees, as indicated in the agreement attached and effective on January 1, 2015, and an expiration date of 12/31/2016. Now therefore be resolved, the superintendent, the supervisor, and members of the town board be and hereby are authorized to execute said agreement between the non-union employees and the town of Plattsburgh on behalf of the town of Plattsburgh. And it be further resolved that a copy of this resolution and the executed agreement be given to the finance manager.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Mannix, second.
Second.
Ms. LaFave, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Mannix,
Yes.
Michael Cashman,
Yes.
Mike LaFave,
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries, and there is an original copy here. I would like to send this down, if you could sign this and just move it down the group, we'll be sure that's executed this evening. While we continue with resolution 262, the 2015-16 management confidential agreement.
Whereas the town of Plattsburgh and its management
Ready?
company,
Would you like me to read for what?
oh, go ahead, that's the last one, so.
Okay. Whereas the town of Plattsburgh and its management confidential employees entered into an agreement regarding the terms and conditions of employment for management confidential employees for 2011 through 2014, and whereas said agreement expired on December 31st, 2014, and whereas parties to said agreement are desirous of entering a new agreement, and a new agreement has been agreed upon by the town of Plattsburgh and the management confidential employees, as indicated by the agreement attached, and dated effective 1/1/2015, with an expiration date of 12/31/2016. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor and members of the town board be and hereby are authorized to execute said agreement with the management confidential employees and the town of Plattsburgh on behalf of the town of Plattsburgh, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution and executed agreement be given to the finance manager.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Cashman, second.
Second.
Ms. LaFave, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Mannix,
Yes.
Michael Cashman,
Yes.
Mike LaFave,
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries. I'm gonna do the same with this one, send it down to Mr. Cashman to sign. If you can move those, that one's ready for you. Those will be ready for the employee signatures. With that said, that's the last items on our agenda for this evening. I'd entertain a motion to
I'd
adjourn.
like to say something first. it's been 10 years I've been working with the supervisor, who is now finishing his term, and this is his last regular meeting, and I think it's only appropriate to say that in those 10 years, I have found him to be the most dedicated person in terms of the interests of the town and the interests of the people in town, spending untold hours dealing with all kinds of crises, going to many meetings that are not on regular time, and overall, really putting this town in a good shape and moving forward.
Thank you, Tom, I appreciate that. Now, if I could get a motion to adjourn my last meeting, I would appreciate it.
So moved.
Mr. Cashman, second.
Second.
Ms. LaFave, roll call, please.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Mannix,
Yes.
Michael Cash.
Yes.
Meg LaFave,
Yes.
Bernie Bassett.
Yes, resolution carries, and I think I've got it right for this meeting. We will adjourn at 7:33 PM. Thank you. Here is one more for the two of you. I'll get this rotated among the staff. Get copies from them.